This white stuff all around me, it looks like snow. And it is also quite cold here, only 5 degrees. But that's all salt. Hello, I'm Liisu. I'm a 27-year-old doctor and I quit my job for this.
Salar de Uyuni did not mean anything to me before coming to Bolivia, but for some reason it was listed as #1 in Bolivia's Lonely Planet. I did trust the Bible and wanted to find out why.
So the place where we start our trip to the salt fields is called Uyuni.
The tour could also depart or end in San Pedro, Chile.
And I can say this little town is one of the sleepiest towns that I have ever been to.
With unreasonably wide streets. There are the largest salt flats next to the town. Salt was once a very important commodity and even a currency, but now just used for cooking. In the human body though, it is essential and could potentially kill anyone. Getting the first glimpse of salt flats was amazing. Whiteness expanding to the horizon and driving on tons and tons of salt. At an altitude of 3,600 meters, there was once a lake, and after this lake dried up, all the salt was left behind. No oceans were near though. Bolivia is landlocked, so I could not understand how all the salt got up here.
The way the lake has just vaporized in here and left those salt hexagon lines.
The whiteness dissolves the perspective and we took advantage of that.
And that's when we realized we can't fight the dinosaur.
Amazing photos can be taken here, the limit being only our minds.
In the middle of the salt flat, there is just a random island that has cacti on it. Cool, eh?
Salt, or sodium chloride, has the main task, among others, of regulating water balance in the body. People with heart disease or high blood pressure are advised to eat less of salt.
The amazing thing with salt is that hundreds of years ago, when they started using salt, they didn't have iodine in the salts. So that meant that there was a lot of thyroid gland problems because it didn't have enough iodine in the food. But once people started eating salt that had iodine in it, the problems with the thyroid gland from lack of iodine basically stopped.
But balance is key, and too little or too much salt is harmful, especially the extremes if it messes with the fluid balance in the brain cells.
Do you think Liisu feels like dancing or she's just super cold?
Yes.
But hey, this super important substance can create magnificent sunsets. We were a couple months late for the wet season though, when all of this would turn into a world's largest mirror.
So we spent the night in this lovely lodge made out of salt.
Next day, we drove south of the salt flats.
A mistake.
Second day, let's go.
Driving on the road and passing some small towns, I was thinking of what those people did for a living here, since the salt flats were left quite far behind. The landscape was barren, desert-like and empty. Also incredibly cold, even though the sun was shining bright. Then the reason for the Andes mountains showed itself, the volcanoes. Eruptions of those volcanoes have given the land all the minerals, including the salts in the salt fields on such a high altitude, but also other minerals, zinc, lead, gold, silver, and lithium. More than 50% of the world's lithium is thought to be hidden under the salt fields. Even though this area here once had volcanoes, being over 4,000 meters in elevation, it was freezing. But if you look at this map, temperature is not a factor to where in the world these birds can live. On the frozen lakes, there were flocks of flamingos. They did not look super comfortable, but they were pretty pink. Therefore, there was enough food. Add some llamas and vicuñas to the picture, and these were the only big animals we saw. The ground, though, was not cold and sleeping. It had immense power and heat in it. And this is what it looked like when the energy released. It was getting dark, cold, and time to get to tonight's lodge. Before that, 2 hours of hot springs, and it was time for bed.
Good morning!
During the night, the temperature dropped to minus 12 degrees Celsius, and apparently also minus degrees in the room. Our swimwear was simply frozen in the morning. So in addition to tourism and salt industry, the people living around here were busy with the mines. All those minerals that the volcanoes had given the land gave jobs to the locals. And even though these trains are not used anymore, the exact same ones were used to transport, for example, silver and other minerals out of Bolivia, for example, to Chile. Now I completely understand why this is a bucket list destination. The unearthly landscapes, excellent views, and just a unique experience which I did not expect.
Thank you for watching. If you want to see more of our adventures, click here. For new adventures, see you next week. Bye.